Panda Daytona, a watch beloved and despised equally around the world. A watch surrounded with such mystique, such lure at the mere sight of it. But why? Is it just the hype and resale? The greed and envy it creates? Has the Panda Daytona become a culmination of everything we hate in the watch world? Or is it more simple? Is it just a great watch? What's up, YouTube? Christophernegroni is back, and today I sit here victorious after all the moaning and groaning and begging. After all the offerings to the Rolex gods, they've bestowed me with the holy grail, the one we do not speak of, the one, the only Panda Daytona. Now, of course, in this video, I want to show you the watch because there's no doubt she's a beaut. But I want to talk about the journey in acquiring this watch and how I feel now that I've finally gotten the Panda Daytona. Because I was promised happiness and bliss when I finally got this watch. But let me tell you guys, I don't think it worked. Nope. I'm sorry to report to all of you searching for happiness through a Panda Daytona, it doesn't work. Now, don't get me wrong. I was beyond ecstatic to purchase this watch. Hell, I think I may have been floating there for a minute. No, but seriously, I think the entire journey from start to finish in getting a Panda Daytona is such a game of cat and mouse for years. Do I want the Panda Daytona? Yes, I want the Panda Daytona. Everybody wants the Panda Daytona. You want the Panda Daytona. Don't lie to me. Okay, how do I get a Panda Daytona? Build some spend history. Am I eligible? No? How about now? Yes? Okay, when can I get the Panda Daytona? No guarantee on the Panda Daytona timeline. Okay, a little more waiting. New Panda Daytona comes out. Shit, I don't like this Panda Daytona. And I'm gonna touch on the new Panda Daytona because I got some thoughts on the new Panda Daytona. And the new Daytona in general, but new Daytona comes out. There goes my chance at getting the Daytona that I wanted. But wait, people are kind of still getting the Daytona. Maybe I still have a chance. So mentally, it was draining. And I think all of that created this expectation of greatness that the watch just wouldn't or couldn't ever live up to. You see, that is the Daytona's major flaw. It's a victim of its own success. The watch itself, it's a masterpiece. It's the perfect size, it's thin, it's light and balanced on the wrist, has great contrast, and best of all, it's a Rolex, so it's reliable. It's undeniably a great watch, but when the watch becomes so difficult to get, it creates higher expectations than the watch can ever live up to. So it's really up to us as the watch enthusiasts to remember that in the beginning, when we walked into the Rolex dealer and we asked for a Rolex Daytona, what we were asking for was a steel sports chronograph made by Rolex. And that's it. Because it's only when you bring this watch back to reality, when you wear this watch every day, that's where the real magic is. So let's take a closer look. The Rolex Daytona 116-500 LN. This iteration of the steel Daytona marked a major departure from the previous 116-520 steel bezel Daytonas, as it was the first steel Daytona to receive the ceramic bezel treatment. In Rolex fashion, small changes that represent an evolution, never a revolution. But this change came at a very peculiar time frame. First introduced in 2016, the already popular and difficult to buy steel Daytona would receive an unprecedented amount of popularity. The very next year, 2017, Paul Newman's historic Rolex Daytona would sell for a whopping $17.8 million, sealing the fate of waitlisters for years to come as demand would far surpass the supply beyond anyone's imagination. This Daytona is advertised as a 40mm diameter watch, when in reality it's measured as a 38.5mm with a compact lug-to-lug of 46.5mm and a thickness of 12.5mm. These measurements really do represent a perfect ratio for most wrists. The watch itself uses the workhorse 4130 movement, a movement Rolex developed off the famous Zenith El Primero, made of Rolex's proprietary 904L steel, otherwise known as unobtainium. The combination of polished surfaces and brush lines blends so well in this elegant execution of a sports chronograph. The Oyster bracelet features a beautifully polished mid-link that I look forward to covering in scratches throughout the rest of my life. Easy link for a quick 5mm adjustment on those hot summer days or after a few Negronis. The bracelet and case actually highlight one of my favorite aesthetic facts about the Daytona. That is, how you get this beautiful pattern starting from the outer lug being fully polished, then the outer portion of the Oyster bracelet brushed, then the polished mid-link, then brushed again, and back to polished with the second lug. It's a small detail that I really appreciate. Another detail about this Daytona that I really love is the asymmetric lugs, which is in fact a design feature and not a flaw, something Rolex advertised as their way of creating more balance and symmetry in the overall watch. The asymmetry, both visually and in weight, offsets the screw-down pushers. Just think about that for a second. I think it's kind of like a sports car, how you'll have a big old wing in the back and then a front splitter, and how they kind of work together to balance the whole car. I think it's both thoughtful and purposeful, and it's a cool little character about this Rolex Daytona and previous Daytonas that is now lost in the new Daytona. Which is a good time to transition to my thoughts on the new Daytona, because I tried my hardest to like this new Daytona. I tried my hardest because I knew that I wasn't going to get the old Daytona, or so I thought I wasn't going to get the old Daytona. So I was fooling myself into liking the new Daytona. I was trying to trick my brain. Oh yeah, it's new. You like it. It's like the Zenith Daytona. I didn't like it. I don't like it. The new Daytona now has a bigger case, even lugs. No longer does it have asymmetric lugs. It's also a longer lug to lug, with lugs that now feature a slightly different shape of lugs that turn downward. Little known fact, but there has always been two shapes of Daytonas running congruently in the Daytona line, and this shape with the downward turn lugs has already existed in the platinum, rose, and white gold Daytonas for a very long time. Put it simply, I was not a fan. I'm not a fan. I, along with many other people who can control their weight, we didn't ask for a bigger Daytona. Should I leave that in? Yeah, we'll leave it in. We'll leave it in. I mean, to make things worse, not only is the watch bigger, the dial is bigger. And they made the hour markers slimmer. They made the hands slimmer. They made the sub-dial slimmer. So overall, you get this very broad feeling Daytona. You know, it kind of throws me off, especially on the white dial. It feels like the dial is huge. It just like everything feels so far away. I don't like it. I don't like it. And to be perfectly honest, to me, this kind of feels like Rolex moving backwards. I get what they're trying to do by making the hour markers resemble the Zenith Daytonas, and the steel ring, the metal ring around the bezel, they're trying to make it resemble the very first Daytonas. I get what they're trying to do, but since when does Rolex make homages? You know, they're always the brand that moves forward, never looking back. I think they tripped all over themselves on this design. It's a little clumsy. It's a little try-hardy. From the side, it's very slab-sided. Dare I say, a little Tudorish. Tudorish. Hey, you know, I love Tudor. I have a Tudor. Just relax, okay? Here it is. I have a Tudor, okay? But yeah, it's like slab-sided. This is the new Daytona from the other side right here. Look at this beautiful Daytona right here. Look at that beautiful Daytona from the side, and then you get this slab. This is the new Daytona. It looks like this from the side. Is that what you want? You want a Tudor for a Daytona? Or do you want this right here? This is what everybody wants right here. That classic Oyster. Beautiful. So elegant. God damn, it's beautiful. Tudors are cool, but this ain't no Daytona. What are you thinking, Rolex? Making the Daytona. Oh, that's embarrassing, you know? No one should ever look at a Daytona and think Tudor. I'm sorry. That thought shouldn't even flicker in your head. A little Tudorish. But anyways, that's enough bashing of the new Rolex Daytona. It's aight. I'm a very lucky man to have received one of the last 116500 LNs. Thank the Lord, baby Jesus. Dude, thank the Lord, baby. Thank you. Now this Daytona, it's hands down one of the best Daytonas ever made. But I think it might be one of the best Rolexes ever made. Now I say that because it's one of the only Rolexes that blends vintage proportions with modern technology so seamlessly. You can't really say that about many Rolexes without the compromise of hollow end links and stamped clasps. There's zero compromise with this watch. I mean, since buying it, it really doesn't come off my wrist besides sleeping and showering because I'm not a weirdo. And it's kind of a problem because I'm really neglecting all of my watches. Oh, I take that back. I wore my Louis Cartier the other day because I wanted to feel like a real fancy boy that day. But besides that, it's been the Daytona. I think it's a watch that has a slow burn. It's not one of those watches that wows you at first and you forget about. Rather, it's a watch you slap on every day, admire the symmetrical beauty, and conquer the day. You do it every day, and it just becomes a part of you. Some watches, like my Submariner, you take off at the end of the day, and there's a little relief. Or even my Gold Day-Date, no way you're wearing that all day. But the Steel Daytona has got just enough heft to feel reassuring, but is light enough to simply meld with you in your day. Always there, but never interrupting. I love it. I would say it's one of those watches that you really have to wear for consecutive weeks for it to click. And I don't know when I'll take it off and wear another watch, and I don't really care. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying this watch. I love wearing it all day, every day. It's perfect. So let's talk a little more about this acquisition and a topic that I like to revisit after every pickup. Something I like to remind myself and everyone in this community, and that's getting perspective. I think with this purchase, it was more evident than ever that I needed to get some perspective because before this watch, I had amassed a pretty nice collection. Okay, let's be honest, more watches than I could ever need. And I wasn't expecting another watch before the end of the year. I wasn't expecting it. But I remember feeling like I was losing myself in the pure obsession over getting the Panda Daytona. Some would say it was a little unhealthy. And I think in many ways, I may have wanted the watch more because I couldn't have it. It's the truth. I let the obsession take over. And I didn't like how that felt. So I made the conscious decision that, I wasn't going to obsess about this watch anymore. And instead, I would take this opportunity while I waited to learn everything I could about the Rolex Daytona so that when I did get that call, I'd be ready. That's what it's all about, right? So that's what I did. I read every review on the Rolex forum, all the articles written about the history and the people who chose to wear the Daytona. I don't know how many times I must have watched Hodinkie's reference points on the Daytona. I want to make sure that when I got that call, I would fully appreciate the watch. And slowly but surely, I fell in love with the idea of being that guy that chose the Steel Daytona along with so many other iconic people to wear it as their everyday watch. And it really helped. I realized that a lot of the time, waiting for a watch is sort of a blessing in disguise. It gives you a chance to do more research on the watch, to fall deeper in love with that watch. And when you do get that call, it's that much sweeter. So this watch represents a 3-year relationship with my AD. A 3-year relationship in which I bought many watches, nothing I didn't want, but it just shows that it takes time. That's really all it takes. It takes a lot of time, and it shows that even I can get a Panda Daytona. But I will say, embarrassingly, as soon as we were done making the transaction, doing the celebrating, drinking the champagne, we get to the car. I'm looking at my Panda Daytona. I look at my wife, say, man, babe, I can't believe they sold me a Panda Daytona. I can't believe it. It finally happened. She looks at me. She's like, baby, of course. You deserve it. I don't know if anyone deserves a watch. I pause a minute, then I look at her, and I say, so now what? Oh, I swear I could feel the words coming out of my mouth and kind of like in slow motion. It was kind of like I was outside of my body watching myself saying these words in pure amazement that I could say this so quickly. Now, of course, I was kidding. Kind of kidding. It's sick because I'm already looking at APs, making appointments to go visit AP, schmooze with them. The week right after I bought this Daytona, I almost bought the IWC Patronus chronograph Pilot. I was this close to buying it. It's a sickness. It's a sickness. It's incredible how quickly the short-term dopamine hit dissipates. But I had to put a serious halt to it because I want more out of this hobby than that dopamine. I want to enjoy the watches, learn more about them, and more importantly, I want to make more content and share. I think I'm at the point where I want to help others get their dream watches. I have a list of a couple people that have reached out, a couple friends that they're struggling with their ADs, and maybe I can help. Maybe I can help them. My last visit, we actually requested a watch for a family member, so that'll be pretty cool. And I think this is a way of kind of regaining some of the enjoyment in the hobby, kind of sparking a new enjoyment, helping others. Maybe it's just that time of year and I'm feeling this way, and I'll quickly go back to old Chris after the new year. We'll see. But anyways, I want to thank all those who continually encouraged me along the way while I waited for the Panda Daytona. You guys really helped, Some days where I was really mopey, grown man mopey, waiting for Panda Daytona. Oh man. Drop me a like, subscribe to the channel if you're a fellow Panda boy. If you're a fellow Panda boy, hashtag Panda boy. That's a dope hashtag. Where my Panda boys at? Hashtag Panda boy. Leave a comment. Use that hashtag Panda boys. Oh, that's pretty lame. Negroni out.